Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Qatar suspends its role as key mediator for a Gaza ceasefire deal, says would resume work if parties willing and serious. US President Joe Biden invites President-elect Donald Trump at the White House on Wednesday. Russian President Putin signs into law mutual defense treaty with North Korea. And in sports, Coco Gauff becomes the youngest player to win the WTA Finals title in 20 years, beats Olympic champion Zheng Qinwen. Well, on to the details now. Qatar has suspended its role as a key mediator for a Gaza ceasefire and hostage release deal. Qatar's foreign ministry, in a statement on Saturday, said that its efforts in mediating a Gaza ceasefire and hostage release deal between Israel and Hamas were currently stalled. The statement further said it would resume its role when Hamas and Israel show their willingness to negotiate. Well, the Gulf country has been working alongside the United States and Egypt for months on fruitless talks to broker a ceasefire in the year-long conflict between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. The latest round of talks in mid-October failed to produce a deal, with Hamas rejecting a short-term ceasefire proposal. Israel has previously rejected some proposals for longer truces. And Israeli protesters expressed concern for hostages in Gaza on Saturday after Qatar said it was pulling back as a key mediator for a ceasefire that would help bring the captives home. Thousands of people rallied in Tel Aviv holding signs reading 400, the number of days since the hostages were taken when Hamas attacked southern Israel on October 7th last year. Protesters once more were demanding that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu secure a deal to release the hostages taken by Hamas. Israelis have been protesting weekly to pressure their government to do more to secure the captives' release.
Qatar withdrawing for us is a chaos because they were the lead connection to the Hamas leadership in Qatar and the Hamas leadership in Gaza. And now without them, we don't know who's going to be in charge of the straight connection, if it's going to be the Turkish, if it's going to be the Egyptian, if it's going to be anyone else. But a chaos and another delay in hostage release would be very bad for us, and we don't know who's going to talk to them.
Well, US President Joe Biden will meet with President-elect Donald Trump at the White House on Wednesday after the US leader pledged an orderly transfer of power back to the Republican he beat in elections just 4 years ago. A White House statement said Biden and Trump would meet in the Oval Office at 11 a.m. at the outgoing president's invitation. Such a post-election meeting is traditional between the outgoing president and the incoming president. However, Trump, a Republican, did not host Biden, a Democrat, for such a meeting after he lost the election in 2020. And US President-elect Donald Trump announced on Saturday the formation of an inaugural committee which would plan and celebrate his inauguration on January 20th, 2025. Trump secured a second term in the White House after winning the US presidential election on November 5th, marking a significant comeback following his loss to President Joe Biden in the 2020 election. The inauguration is organized by the Joint Congressional Committee on Inaugural Ceremonies and will include events such as the swearing-in ceremony, inaugural address and the pass and review. Inauguration Day occurs every 4 years on January 20th or January 21st if January 20th falls on a Sunday at the US Capitol building in Washington, D.C. And Russian President Vladimir Putin on Saturday signed a decree that turned a treaty on the country's strategic partnership with North Korea involving a mutual defense provision into a law. The accord, announced by Russian President and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un in June after a summit in Pyongyang, calls on each other's side to come to the other's aid in case of an armed attack. The decree making the partnership law appeared on an official website outlining legislative procedures. The treaty was ratified by Russia's parliament. The treaty further deepens relations between Moscow and Pyongyang. Reports from Ukraine, South Korea and US say North Korea supplied Russia with weaponry also. And Ukraine's top military commander, Alexander Syrsky, said on Saturday that there were reports North Korean troops were preparing for combat alongside Russian forces. Syrsky said the situation in frontline sectors with Russia remained difficult and showed signs of escalation. President Volodymyr Zelensky said that Ukraine's military command was focused on defending around the town of Kurakhove, a target of Russia's advances, along with Pokrovsk, a logistical hub to the north. He decried strikes on civilian targets and urged European countries to provide more air defense systems. And Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk will meet France's President, Britain's Prime Minister, the head of NATO and leaders of Nordic and Baltic states soon to discuss transatlantic cooperation and the war in Ukraine. The future of aid to Ukraine is among the major questions facing the European Union after Donald Trump's US election victory.
In the coming days, we will very intensely coordinate cooperation with countries that have a very similar view on the geopolitical and transatlantic situation and situation in Ukraine. We can shortly expect a visit of the President of France in Warsaw, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, or my visit to London. We are still discussing this.
Well, EU Foreign Policy Chief Josep Borrell on Saturday reassured Ukraine of Europe's unwavering support days after Donald Trump's election win cast uncertainty over its efforts. Borrell, the first top EU official to visit Kyiv since Trump's win, said that the purpose of his visit was to stress EU support for Ukraine against Russia. So far, European Union has already provided $131 billion in military and financial support to Ukraine and trained about 60,000 Ukrainian soldiers. Support from Western allies has been key to Ukraine's ability to defend itself against Russia's much larger and better equipped enemy.
The clear purpose of this visit is to stress the European Union support to Ukraine. This support remains unwavering. This support is absolutely needed for you to continue defending yourself against Russia aggression.
Well, Ecuador's Labour Ministry has temporarily suspended Vice President Veronica Abad from office just 3 months before next year's election, in which President Daniel Noboa will seek another term. Abad, who is also the South American country's ambassador to Israel, is accused of committing a serious disciplinary offense by failing to comply with an order from the Foreign Ministry to leave Israel and travel to Turkey before September 1st due to security concerns during the conflict in Gaza. Electoral campaigns in Ecuador are scheduled to begin in January, and where President Noboa would have to leave the vice president in a post in order to participate. And preparations for COP29 are entering the final stages in Azerbaijan. The climate conference for global emissions of planet heating fossil fuels continue to rise, despite many nations facing devastating floods, droughts, heat waves and storms. This event will bring together world leaders, climate negotiators, environmental activists, and experts from across the globe to tackle the pressing issue of climate change and accelerate global efforts to meet the goals of the Paris Agreement. Azerbaijan, which is hosting COP29, has been ramping up efforts to ensure the success of the conference. And Brazil announced details of its new climate change pledge that sets a target to lower the country's greenhouse gas emissions by 2035, which it will present during the United Nations Climate Summit COP29 in Azerbaijan. The announcements come as Brazil is world's one of the biggest emitters of climate warming carbon dioxide. The UN has said countries must do more to reach target to limit global temperatures rises to 1.5 degrees Celsius in order to avoid catastrophic climate change. And thousands of protesters filled the streets of Valencia on Saturday, demanding accountability for the government's handling of catastrophic floods that have claimed the lives of more than 220 people and leaving nearly 80 people still missing. Many called for the resignation of regional leader Carlos Mazon, accusing him of mishandling the crisis. Protesters claimed that Mazon issued an alert too late, hours after water had already inundated villages across the region. Thousands also marched in other Spanish cities on Saturday. And Britain's royal family attended the annual Festival of Remembrance at London's Royal Albert Hall, where Britain's Catherine, Princess of Wales, took a significant step in her recovery from cancer as she attended her first major royal occasion since ending chemotherapy. Whereas, as per the reports, Queen Camilla did not join the royals at key royal events after getting sick with a chest infection. The Royal British Legion's annual event commemorates the British and Commonwealth Armed Forces community, honouring those who have served and sacrificed their lives in World War I. And now let's take a look at other stories making news across the globe. Japan's Wajima port in Ishikawa Prefecture is once again fully operational more than 10 months after a devastating earthquake. Wajima port hosts the largest number of trawlers in the prefecture. The crab season began in Ishikawa on Wednesday, but fishing was delayed because of stormy weather. In New York's LaGuardia Airport, passengers were evacuated following reports of a suspicious package on Saturday. Police responded to reports of a suspicious package in Terminal B. As the bomb squad investigated the incident, travelers spent hours outside the airport. The Nepalese Force Reserve Battalion received the United Nations Medal of Honor in recognition of their service to the people of South Sudan. The honor award presented to the force commander's commendation for exceptional professionalism and dedication to duty. Berlin held an evening of music and light displays from Potsdamer Platz to Brandenburg Gate, commemorating 35 years since the fall of the Berlin Wall. The Festival for Freedom, emphasis on togetherness. This year, the celebrations used music and art as a theme, calling on people to unite. And still to come in this edition of DT India Live. In India's Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, one terrorist was killed in the ongoing operation with security forces in Baramulla's support. And in sports, Indian cricket team set to clash against South Africa in the second T20 International on Sunday.
I'm on a quest to explore the history of Goa. A land steeped in diverse and intersecting cultures and traditions.
I think this is one of my favorite pieces of art in the city.
Here, influences from multiple faiths coalesce in beautiful ways. From religious sites to charming villages and vibrant streets. Watch Postcards from Goa on National Geographic.
Welcome back. You're watching DT India Live. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and moving on. Updates on states assembly elections now. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will hold a mega road show in eastern India's Jharkhand. Several senior leaders of the BJP will also participate in the road show to be held in Ranchi. Last week, PM Modi addressed rallies on November 5th, a day after India's Home Minister Amit Shah released the BJP's manifesto for Jharkhand assembly polls. Jharkhand will vote in two phases, with 43 constituencies going to the polls on November 13th and 38 constituencies on November 20th. The votes for both assembly collections will be counted on the 23rd of November. And Ministry of External Affairs Secretary East Jaideep Mazumdar and BIMSTEC Secretary General Indramani Pandey signed an agreement to establish the BIMSTEC Energy Centre in South India's Bengaluru. The agreement paves the way towards a strengthened energy cooperation, including inter-grid connectivity in the region. And in India's Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, one terrorist was killed in the ongoing operation with security forces in Baramulla, Sopore on Saturday evening. The Indian Army, in a post on social media platform X, said that one terrorist has been neutralized by the security forces in the ongoing operation. Acting on a specific input regarding the presence of terrorists in Sopore area of Baramulla, a joint anti-terrorist operation was launched by police and security forces. During the search operation, an exchange of fire took place. The search operation is meanwhile underway. And security arrangements are being made across land, water and air for the upcoming Mahakumbh in North India's Prayagraj. The city, situated on the banks of the Ganges in Uttar Pradesh, Prayagraj, is going to become the centre of cultural celebration. In a first to prevent any untoward incidents during the bathing rituals, the water police are being equipped with high-tech jet skis, often referred to as mini ships. The role of the water police is crucial to ensure the safety of all visiting pilgrims and saints. These high-speed mini vessels are being deployed for the first time. Mahakumbh starts with Posh Purnima Snan, which is on 13 January 2025. The Kumbh festival will conclude with the last bath on 26 February 2025, the day of Mahashivratri. And the Kartarpur Sahib corridor between India and Pakistan has completed 5 years on Saturday. The corridor leads to the Gurudwara Sri Kartarpur Sahib in the Narowal district of Pakistan, where the first Sikh Guru, Guru Nanak Dev Ji, spent the last 18 years of his life. The corridor was inaugurated by India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi on November 9, 2019 at Dera Baba Nanak in Gurdaspur on the occasion of the 550th Prakash Purab of Sri Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Millions of devotees have visited this historical Gurudwara over the past 5 years. India and Pakistan renewed their agreement in October this year to operate the Kartarpur corridor and facilitate pilgrims from India to visit the Kartarpur Sahib Gurudwara for another 5 years. And the International Film Festival of India 2024 has announced the launch of IFFI Esta, a vibrant entertainment extravaganza designed to bring communities together through the magic of films, food, art and interactive experiences. The event will be hosted at the Kala Academy in Panjim, Goa from 21st to 28th of November. In a statement, India's Ministry of Information and Broadcasting said that this cultural event will feature a wide array of attractions. It also informed that early bird delegate registration will remain open till November 10th, which will give access to all events, including the week-long festivities of IFFI Esta. And India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi wrote an op-ed to pay rich tributes to the late Indian industrialist and philanthropist Ratan Tata, who passed away almost a month ago. The Prime Minister spoke about Tata's care for the most vulnerable, his patriotism, his love for animals, devotion to healthcare, and his inspirational leadership to shape India's future, besides mentoring startups. The Prime Minister said that Ratan Tata represented the finest traditions of Indian enterprise.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi paid rich tribute to industrialist and philanthropist Ratan Tata. In an op-ed in a national daily, Prime Minister spoke about Ratan Tata's care for most vulnerable, his patriotism, love for animal, devotion for healthcare, and his inspirational leadership to shape India's future. Prime Minister wrote, "For the youth, Shri Ratan Tata was an inspiration, a reminder that dreams are worth pursuing and that success can coexist with compassion as well as humility. For others, he represented the finest traditions of Indian enterprise and a steadfast commitment to the values of integrity, excellence and service." Prime Minister also highlighted that in recent years, Ratan Tata became known for mentoring the country's startup ecosystem, investing in many promising ventures. Prime Minister wrote, "He understood the hopes and aspirations of young entrepreneurs and recognized the potential they had to shape India's future. By backing their efforts, he empowered a generation of dreamers to take bold risks and push boundaries." Prime Minister also spoke about Ratan Tata's patriotism and his love for the nation, saying that Ratan Tata's patriotism shone brightest in times of crisis. Prime Minister said that, for crores of Indians, Shri Ratan Tata's patriotism shone brightest in times of crisis. His swift reopening of the iconic Taj Hotel in Mumbai after the 26/11 terror attacks was a rallying call to the nation. India stands united, refusing to yield to terrorism. Prime Minister also spoke about his compassion for all living beings, which included his deep love for animals. Prime Minister wrote that his deep love for animals was well known and he supported every possible effort focused on animal welfare. He often shared photos of his dogs, who were as much a part of his life as any business venture. Besides, Prime Minister also highlighted Ratan Tata's dedication for healthcare and his effort for fight against cancer. Prime Minister recalled a program in Assam 2 years ago where Prime Minister and Ratan Tata had jointly inaugurated various cancer hospitals in the state. Prime Minister wrote that his efforts to make health and cancer care accessible and affordable were rooted in a profound empathy for those battling diseases, believing that a just society was one that stood by its most vulnerable. Paying tribute to Ratan Tata, Prime Minister said that he constantly championed excellence, urging Indian enterprises to set global benchmarks. Prime Minister expressed hope that this vision will inspire future leaders to make India synonymous with world-class quality. Fuzail Ahmed reporting for DD India.
And now on to some sports news. Coco Gauff showed supreme determination to beat China's Zheng Quanwen in 3 hours and become the youngest player to win the World Tennis Finals since Maria Sharapova in 2004. The 20-year-old is also the first American champion since Serena Williams 10 years ago. Gauff stormed to a 6-0 lead in the final set tie-break for 6 championship points as she eased to victory. Olympic gold medalist and 7th seed Zheng, who was making her WTA Finals debut, won the first set in just under an hour, saving all 5 break points she faced to keep Gauff at bay. However, the American came back from 3-1 down to take the second set. And the young Indian brigade will once again be in action when they clash against South Africa in the second T20 International 4-match series in Qatar on Sunday. Sanju Samson will look to continue his domination of the bowlers, but India needs more stability in the top order during their clash with South Africa in the match, with an aim to extend their superior run in the shortest format. Samson's stunning 107 off 50 balls powered India to a commanding 61-run victory in the series opener, but the lack of runs from other key batters remains a concern for the visitors. And cyclist Mark Cavendish has announced his retirement, saying that he will compete in his final professional race at the 2-day Tour de France Criterium in Singapore on Sunday. Cavendish, the world's most decorated sprinter, announced his retirement last year before reversing that decision and breaking the all-time record for most stage wins at the Tour de France during this year's race. The 39-year-old won an individual silver medal on the track at 2016 Rio Olympics and claimed 3 world titles in the Madison discipline. And the Paragliding World Cup concluded on Saturday with a grand ceremony in Bir Billing in a Indian state of Himachal Pradesh. The paragliding event showcased Bir Billing as a global paragliding destination. America's Austin Cox secured the first place, while India's Ranjit Singh came second. In the women's category, Poland's Joanna Kokot secured the first place, with Germany's Daria Eltakova in second. Himachal Pradesh's Minister Rajesh Dharmani awarded the winners and extended his best wishes for their future endeavors.
Thank you to the BPA for hosting us here in a fantastic competition. We had 5 excellent tasks, flying to Kuala Lumpur, towards Mundi. Great flying, great competition, well organized. The weather here is perfect for paragliding. It's one of the best places to paraglide in the world. I've been coming here for 8 years now, and I'll keep coming back because it is amazing, beautiful people, the food, the culture, and just to top it all off.
All right, that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available in both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.